So the Social Security COLA for next year, 2026, this year is at 2.5%. We'll see where it might be headed. We are in July. The data was just released today. And with that, we've got the full second quarter of information on the inflation that goes into the COLA projection for 2026. As a reminder, how we go about doing that, how the government goes about doing that, you take the average of quarter three of last year and the average of quarter three of this year, and that calculation is what gives you the annual amount, then the COLA that goes into the following year. So you have information from 24 along with 25 is what gives you the 2026 projection. Let me give you a preview here of how it looks, and we'll get all the data into that. So let me share my screen. All right, I've got the data plugged into my Excel spreadsheet. What I love about the July data release each year is that, generally speaking, what happens at the end of the second quarter, so we're taking second quarter and projecting out from last third quarter. The last third quarter is part of this actual projection or the actual data. The second quarter is just getting us along the way. We've got 9 months then at the second quarter. And what's interesting is that, generally speaking, what's happened in the last 9 months matches the next 3 months. So the last three quarters matches the next quarter. That's how it generally has worked out over the last 5, 10, and 20 years, to the point where if we look at the last 5 years on average, if we're looking here in July and saw a 4.3 was where COLA was at, or the inflation was at, that's where COLA came in. 2.8 over the last 10 years, just slight difference, but very close. 2.7 and 2.6 for the next year's COLA over the last 20 years. Some long-term history there. I've got some data in here that is yet to be updated. I've got to add that in, go find that, and add that in the June data. And you notice here how I've averaged the 3 months, because against the 3 month average, this right here, this info about 2.5 for COLA, that's what our projection was previously. This is basically the previous data. We've got to go get that updated. So let me grab that data here. Bureau of Labor and Statistics says CPI for all items rises 0.3% in June. So that's just 1 month's number, and it's also CPI U, which is not what you use for a COLA, for cost of living. And they use what's called a seasonally adjusted basis, because things change over time in the seasons. We've got to head down here to the release, get on down to not seasonally adjusted. Let's just get the true data, skip over CPIU. Let's go straight to CPI for wage earners and clerical workers, CPIW. And that increased 2.6% over the last 12 months. That's an indication of which way it's headed. But we got to take the averages, not just that 12-month data point of June to June, but the averages of last quarter, the averages of last year's third quarter, see which way that's heading. So there's some extra data kind of in COLA that needs to be accounted for. So let's put that in. It gives us the average. 2.7 is today's annualized rate for the last quarter two versus quarter three of last year. So right now we're at a 2.7% is where the cost of living is headed for next year. Historically, whatever's happened in the first three quarters, which is why I love the July data release, is basically where the cost of living comes in. So somewhere around 2.7% is where the cost of living is headed towards, which of course is a little bit higher than last year's COLA, which is this year's COLA of 2.5%. You might feel that that's good news, that the COLA is projected to be up, but this is only showing up because there is inflation that is reflected in the cost of living adjustment. So as of right now, cost of living for 2026 is projected to be up slightly compared to this year. Make sure to subscribe to the Retirement Revealed podcast. Hey, I just said that, but I'm changing the name. Give you a preview there. Make sure you subscribe to that podcast. You'll find the name out soon. But subscribe to the Mr. Retirement YouTube channel. Enjoy the rest of your day. You'll get updates on the Mr. Retirement channel about all things retirement. Take care.